The first down. Oh, perfect. Yes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our panel on women's health, rewritten endometriosis, hormonal health, and cannabis science. Just another quick note on the Empower Society. We are an official association. We were founded to empower the women in the cannabis industry and to give us all more visibility. We are all very grateful for you to be here today and to attend this panel. We had a quick change on the panelist side, and because Dr. Michelle, she decided that she doesn't want to attend the event, which we totally respect, but we also wanted to address this on stage because it is an important issue, and we wanted to explain also why she didn't want to join us today. Her decision is based in the fact that there is still a lot of energy in this space that is very anti-women and very masculine and not really like supporting women. And there is also like people who have committed violence and disrespect towards women, and this is something which is never acceptable for us, whether physical, verbal, digital, or structural. So this is something we stand up against. So when women decide to not lend their voice to a space for that reason, that's a decision that deserves a lot of respect, actually. And empowering women does not mean hating men. It means equality, accountability, and safer professional spaces for everybody. So I want to thank Dr. Lakisha for stepping in on short notice. And women's health is also about mental health, safety, self-determination, and the right to be taken seriously. And with that, I want to move on to the panel. So today we're discussing endometriosis as one of the aspects. Endometriosis alone affects 1 in 10 women in reproductive age worldwide, approximately 190 million women worldwide. Also now it just came out that endometriosis is also something that can affect men, just as a fun fact on the side note. In Germany, around 2 million women are estimated to be impacted by endometriosis. Many patients experience for a very long time pain and all these kind of things, and it's just like not taken seriously. So that is something that we want to address today. But before we jump into our questions, I want to give the speakers quickly an opportunity to introduce themselves, maybe starting with you, Dr. Lakisha.
Hello, all, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm Dr. Lakisha. I'm a traditional naturopath and clinical compound herbalist. I've been in the cannabis industry for about 2 decades now, coming from California, then moving to the market in the country of Jamaica, and now I am in New York City.
Thank you very much. Lord?
Yes, thank you very much for having me here, and a special thanks for empowering her too. So my name is Chloe Pugno. I'm a PharmD, and I'm specialized in endocannabinoid system and cannabinoid science, and I'm a CEO and co-founder of Citana Pharma Group. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm Shabnam Sarjar. I'm a fetal pharmacologist, like basically herbal medicine, but my focus is the intersection between cannabinoid-based intervention and female physiology, because yeah, as we all know, woman body, woman endocannabinoid system is very different than man, and that is the part that my most focus is on.
Yeah, thank you, Shabi. And so today the aim of this panel is not to make a broader claim about cannabis as a universal solution. So maybe just something for me. My name is Lisa Haag. I'm the Vice President of the German Industry Association, the second chairwoman of Empower. I'm a cannabis entrepreneur for 10 years now. and yeah, always been supporting women. So let's look at the female health and how it is in an interconnected perspective with the endocannabinoid system. So maybe start with you, Shabnam. Historically, women's health has received too little scientific attention. There are many misconceptions in clinical practice. Why has the medical system taken so long to prioritize conditions such as endometriosis, thick fibroids, post-menstrual symptoms, and yeah, hormonal health? And why is that the situation?
Actually, good that you brought that up. We just had a discussion with Chloe about this, that why is that basically we have so little knowledge about woman body and basically the woman reaction to different drugs, because we are like 50% of the population. So there are different reasons for that. Like I'm gonna like little bit focus on cannabis, because in 1970 the cannabis went under the like prohibition, and all of the research was immediately stopped on cannabis. And then in 1977, the US banned the whole clinical trial on women for phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials, okay? And the third reason is that because of the woman hormonal changes, that throughout our menstrual cycle, we can have different metabolism, different perception of the drug effect, to like, and that is universal, that is for all different drugs. For example, like non-diazepine sleep medication, some of them, they have 50% more bioavailability in women's body. 15% more is almost like nearly, like it's like instead of one tablet, you are taking 1.5, like it's so much. And the reason that pharma industry and like medical clinical trials didn't want to look into it is these hormonal changes. We are not looking for variations. We just want something significant. We want it like, and also in preclinical trial, when we want to use animals, we always just pick male animals, because again, we don't want all of these changes in the result and in the basically the perception of all of the results effects. So yeah.
So, but maybe can you tell us a little bit about like these, how these symptoms that are treated through these medicines, how do they show in the people? How is it maybe different from woman to woman? And yeah, and why are they not? Why are those hormonal aspects not being treated as part of a bigger picture in treatment?
We just started to look at this. I'm gonna start with like a single example, because that's also like probably many of us can relate to that. When we look at major depressive disorder and PTSD, it's now known that a doctor, the psychiatrist, should do the assessment and the treatment with awareness of different phases of the menstrual cycle. For example, a woman with PTSD can react to the therapy, can react to the exposure therapy very differently around her ovulation in comparison to before her menstruation. We all know, I always say that we women, we have at least 4 different personalities throughout 1 month when we have our period. And now add the layer of perimenopause to that, all of these predictable changes in our personalities suddenly become like, wow, 1 week I know myself like this, 2 weeks later completely different. And perimenopause years, you won't believe this, but we have less than 9,000 publications on perimenopause transition, and for pregnancy alone we have around 2 million or something. So that's the amount of knowledge gap that we are facing, and how are you going to address something that you absolutely don't know nothing about it?
Yeah, I wanna chime in on that, because I think the broader issue is really when we trended away from traditional medicine, and I call traditional medicine like indigenous traditional medicine, where we rely on our bodies and nutrition and that knowledge, and went from pharmacognosy, so the study of plants and botanicals and the way that they work with our body nutritionally, and went down the road of pharmacology and standardized medicine. Standardized medicine looks for the same results in everyone. So when you're working with a system that within standardized medicine takes symptom presentation, and the way your symptoms present, you get a disease diagnosis based on that presentation. And then there's a pharmaceutical protocol that is attached to that. It's very difficult then to take into consideration the intricacies not only of just individuals, but then when you add to that, as we say, the intricacies of the female anatomy and physiology, it makes it very difficult to fall in line and fall in the box of standardized medicine. So if there's a gap in the research, unfortunately.
But especially like here in Germany, we have quite a history of plant-based medicines. I'm also taking a plant-based medicine for my perimenopause symptoms, just to manage it a little bit better. From your perspective, from botanical medicines, how could we deal better with this aspect of female health, and why are we so often dismissed with our symptoms as women in this case? What did you learn from your patients with that?
I find that it's because it's complicated. And a lot of times when it's complicated, you want to lean to what's a little bit easier. I have to say though that with the new regulations in the United States, because let's face it, a lot of the medical industry looks towards the United States, especially what the FDA guidance is, and the fact that we just recently, last month, made state legal medical cannabis Schedule 3, it opens up the door for better research. It opens up the door for better product development. And where I am in the state of New York, they actually have a cannabis research program. You can actually get a license. My company is in the final approval process for that cannabis research license, so we can actually now look into these things. Also, the FDA recently put a lot of attention on the botanical drug guidance, using the botanical drug pathway. When you're developing pharmaceuticals, they have to be standardized. You need to get the exact same result every single time. When you take into consideration the guidance that's found in the botanical drug pathway, it actually allows for variances. So now we actually have a real opportunity to start studying women's health and allowing for those variances, because we're a lot different, physiologically. Individuals are different and women are even more different. So I'm just thankful that there are these new pathways that are available for the research.
So we're literally redefining health. We have the opportunity to do so. So, but how do you see, especially with cannabis, a lot of patients are self-medicating. When these patients learn how to use cannabis in the medicine, how do you see a difference in how they're using it?
I think I always say that there's not a question of whether you should be using phytocannabinoids, as a supplement, or whether you shouldn't. Really, the question that should be answered, there's three of them. What product, what dose, and what method of administration? A lot of times all of the focus is put on the combustibles, the smoking, of the cannabis, not understanding the major and the minor cannabinoids, THC versus, CBD or CBG or CBN and those things. And I find in California, because we legalized in 1996, but we didn't regulate it until 2016, everybody had to become a mini scholar, on how to use these products, because there was no information.
And a mini chemist also.
Yeah, a mini chemist. So a lot of people, it's definitely a personal thing. It's personalized medicine. And luckily, because it's a botanical and it's really benign, and you're not going to find, some serious adverse reactions in most cases, that self-discovery is allowed. So people doing their own research, finding the products that work for them is actually a methodology that I prefer, especially with the lack of research and science that's available. That's really the route that you have to go, unfortunately.
That's actually a great bridge over to you. So you're an entrepreneur, but you're also a researcher and scientist. Where do you see the biggest gap between patient need and available products?
It's a good question. So I have a special position because I'm in the intersection between the science, the pharma industry, the pharma experience, and the patient experience. To be honest, we have a big problem because when, for example, I will take the endometriosis problem. For example, for these women, we are only treating the symptoms, and it's a 100 pure solution, gynecological solution. So we will talk about the inflammation, we will talk about the pain, and the treatment behind it will be inflammatory treatment, painkillers, but, and sometimes for sure, hormonal treatment, but we are forgetting about the sleep disorders because somewhere we are underestimate the sleep disorders, but it's bidirectional with the pain. If we have a poor sleep, it will increase the pain. And if we increase the pain, we will increase the anxiety. If we increase the anxiety, we will go through the depression. So it's a whole, we should to find a whole solution. It's not just one solution as a pain or as inflammation. Like we should to stop doing how we call it in English, like one size solution, and we need to go through a holistic solution.
Should we maybe also start earlier, like in the prevention of these things, and or just not understanding them all one night? I can see don't sleep so well. It's like, but seeing the bigger picture, not really.
Absolutely, we should just start it as soon as possible because when we take in charge the pain earliest, we will reduce the chance to go through the chronic pain. And also, it's the same thing for sleep disorders, for example. So if it's all about the time. We should take in charge our patient at the right time because we will get the best solution for them, and we will avoid all this somnifers and oxylytics and other solution, because when we go through this kind of solution, it's done. We can never go out from this. So to go back to the cannabis solution today, as a medicine, medical cannabis is proposing a global solution because we are targeting the endocannabinoid system, this homeostatic system, and it's changing the taking charge for our patient.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. You know, it's a systemic issue. Again, the way that I said that the medical establishment, actually decides disease diagnosis and treatment protocols, we need to elevate the conversation to start with the endogenous cannabinoid system. Our endogenous cannabinoid system within itself is designed to help our bodies to manage stress. In its most simplistic terms, that's what it does. Stress is actually the #1 killer of people, honestly, because when your body is stressed chronically, you're producing cortisol, which is the stress hormone. The overproduction of cortisol leads to inflammation, and chronic inflammation is arguably the precursor to just about every disease, including endometriosis. So if we're elevating the conversation to say that we produce endogenous cannabinoids in our brain naturally, but as we age, as we go through stressful situations, and as women, even as we cycle, we don't produce enough endogenous cannabinoids to properly support this system that governs cognitive function, sleep patterns, and our hormones found in all of our tissues and organs. If we're not starting there and having that conversation, then we're really overlooking the foundation. You know what they say about, a house built on sand. Our foundation is not strong. So we need to elevate the conversation to start there.
So, I'm gonna just put these two together because that was perfect combination for perimenopause. We talked about different symptoms that we look at them differently, and we talked about the endocannabinoid system. That's exactly what happened in perimenopausal women. because estrogen has a direct impact on the endocannabinoid system and the level of the tone of the cannabinoid and the endocannabinoid system functionality. And in menstrual cycle, for example, before ovulation, we have a more stimulated endocannabinoid system. We have more anandamide and like less pain, better mood. And then before period, that changes. And now imagine the whole perimenopause, and that is for some women 6 to 10 years. In these 10 years, you have these extreme up and downs and unpredictable up and downs on estrogen. And that causes endocannabinoid system disbalance. And women in perimenopause, they have issue with the sleep, they have issue with anxiety, with pain. Instead of like look at the symptom individually and give painkiller for that, a sleep aid for that, and like SSRIs for the other, just by targeting the endocannabinoid system, just by using cannabinoid-based intervention, we can like one stone and like many different birds.
So thank you. That's actually the direction I also wanted to go with the next question. So maybe you can also share with the audience what kind of products the women are using for now, because we just learned on the panel before there are not many products available, and obviously it's not high THC in many cases. What are some of the benefits and what are some of the things to be mindful of when you start using these products?
So, like the first thing, we had a great discussion in the last panel about how the market is like full of high THC product and how like women normally are more sensitive to THC because we have a complete different endocannabinoid system, and that also changes with the amount of estrogen in our body. It's a very complex but unappreciated factor for women health product development. And but like I heard from some companies that actually patients are asking pharmacies for lower THC drugs. That's one of that. And again, like you mentioned, inhalation is one application form, and some women really need this very quick onset of the effect. But there are many other formats. Like we forget how topical formats could be helpful and effective for rheuma or like back pain. We forget like vaginal suppositories, other oral applications, and you know the slow release. For example, for ADHD medications, we have this slow release of products like throughout the day with this like innovation mechanism, like every hour 10% or 20% of the amount is released in the body. We have none of that in cannabis space, and like again, it was a huge like opportunity window to design products for women.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit, Dr. Lakisha, what kind of products the ladies in the US are using, because it's a little bit more developed also from the product landscape.
So as a clinical compound herbalist, that's my sweet spot. I have a little over 500 herbal blends that I compound in small batches, proprietary. 57 of them have a phytocannabinoid profile. So I really look to study, how phytocannabinoids, well, all of the active constituents, the phytocannabinoids, the terpenes, the flavonoids, and the lipids that are found within that botanical work within the system. And again, it's what method of administration. I particularly love sublinguals. So it's a tincture, like the drops that you put under your tongue, because that's like a straight delivery system to the bloodstream. It has that instantaneous effect similar to the combustibles, but because you're ingesting it, it's hitting more of those receptor sites. So you're getting a more effective supplementation of the endogenous cannabinoid system, and the effects that you feel last a little bit longer because they're metabolized different and they're metabolized in the liver different. So I find that especially with those, you can also like dose it almost exactly, because they come in a 1 ml, bottle, that's 30 drops. You could almost guide it into the exact drop that works for you during different times. So for me, I find that my patient base loves that as a delivery system, the sublinguals.
It's actually a great bridge. So let's talk a little bit about microdosing, which is your specialty, Chloe. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and how what experience you've had with microdosing and more is less.
Yes, for sure.
More.
Yes. So obviously, I create my own protocols for well-being and also for medical cannabis. To be honest, I'm starting from start low and go slow and stay as low as possible. It is very very meaningful because when we talk about the let's start with the endocrine system. This system we know we have his endogenous cannabinoids, we have his enzymes, and sometimes we need just a little help to go and to find the balance. So the high doses doesn't mean anything. Just we will go searching for intoxicating effects, side effects, and we will go to the harmful part of medical cannabis or cannabis use. So minimize this side effects, we should go really searching for the lower doses. And for this, I was using in the beginning for my protocols only endocannabinoids, and after that, I followed 300 patients and sleep disorders, mental health, and pain, and I identified that there's something missing. And this something, it was the entourage effect, because I was using broad spectrum, but it wasn't enough. I was, I need something more, and I found it on therapists. So I'm not using therapists from cannabis because, as you know, like the extraction is very very expensive to get the terpenes from cannabis. So I'm getting this terpenes from essential oil, and it's changing everything from the results.
It's super interesting. Maybe Shadi, let's also talk about products you put on yourself and not in yourself, like creams or the one with breast cream you developed. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's exactly the topical topic that we just talked about. And you know, like endocannabinoid system receptors, we know we have it everywhere, and also like they modulating the pain. So when you have all of those topicals that you can use for pain, like the nociceptive pain, which is like on the surface, not internally, the topical products would be very, very helpful. We have also like many anecdotes and many like clinical studies. I mean, you said Shabnam don't talk about the product that we put inside, but here, yeah, I also want to like mention the products that actually women put in themselves, because we recently got a very beautiful clinical trial with a CBD, a vaginal application with terpenes, myrcene, like 5%, and that actually showed reduction in pain during intercourse, that showed like like the quality of life was better for the like perimenopausal and menopausal women, and also helped with vaginal atrophy. So all of these O2 products that can like benefit women a lot of we see. I'm so happy that we are seeing them like little by little arising, and yeah, hopefully more.
Yeah, no, I think people forget that our skin is our largest organ, actually. It is an organ, it's an organ of elimination. You know, it eliminates things, but it can also draw things in. So having topical applications are also very important. But another important point was, brought up. When you're taking the full plant, the botanical itself, and you're dividing it to a sum of its parts, so whether you're extracting it to have isolates or extracting it to, remove the terpenes or putting it in different forms, you're not really giving your body the opportunity to choose what it needs naturally. And so that's why I'm a proponent of, number one, whole plant medicine, but number two, using it more nutritionally. I was giving a talk, a keynote on the dietary modulation of the endogenous cannabinoid system, because really ingesting products, like ingesting them and having a full spectrum profile. So all of the phytocannabinoids, all of the terpenes, all of the flavonoids, and all of the lipids, because as you said, phytocannabinoids are enzymes. They're enzymes that are fat soluble. So if you don't have that fat, those lipids, you know what I mean? When you're ingesting them, the bioavailability is really, not there. So I think when we're talking about products and we're talking about product development, we need to make sure that we're including, nutritionally, when you ingest something, your body now has the ability to choose what it needs naturally and then discard the rest. If it's not needed at that time, your body actually has the ability to choose.
So it's like that, I think, in medicine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But this actually creates like an interesting area of tension. I mean, you said in the US now there's these new research possibilities. Actually, I know that a lot of pioneers in our industry, especially for things like Charlotte's Web and stuff like that, they're very scared that all the progress they have made will be taken away and taken advantage.
Well, I will tell you what, because Dr. Lakisha is in the research market, I will absolutely make sure that that does not happen. Not on my watch. I'm going to ensure that we save the plant, that all the plant will be safe. Actually, I've been working on the first all botanical phytocannabinoid containing product that I will get approved by the FDA to prove that the plant is what's necessary, not the sum of its part, but the entire plant itself.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Schwartz. So let's move over to the next block of questions. Innovation in women's health, and that is not should only happen in theory, but in practice. You just gave us a wonderful example for that. So we also said that we want to focus a little bit more on solutions rather than only the problem. So maybe to all panelists to start, why is it critical that women are not only patients, but they were also researchers, clinicians, health innovators, community builders, decision makers? And how can we strengthen the position of women in this industry, in these roles, or in these other adjoining industry? Maybe starting with you, Chloe?
Sure. So, as a woman, maybe I will start with my journey of this industry. So, in 2014, I get a rare disease, and my doctors was proposing classical treatment, a classical protocol between chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and just for 5% of chance of success. So, as a student, I said no way. As a pharma student, I know that there is like 80% of chance to get all the side effects from both of this treatment, and I will not, it doesn't make sense. I cannot accept this protocol. So in that time, one of my doctor, he was saying like, Chloe, maybe you should use cannabis. And I took it as a joke. I was saying, like, he's kidding me. I didn't understand the reason behind, because in pharma, we never hear about the cannabis as a medicine. The only thing that we know about is the drug. Exactly. So it was so interesting, and I started to ask everyone about the meaning behind why we are using cannabis, and they were saying, like, yeah, they're using cannabis for pain and palliative care. Saying, like, not in this case too, so I don't understand. So, and since that time, I make my research, and I discovered this fascinating system called the endocannabinoid system, and all the meaning of using cannabis. And today, as a CEO of Symphonia Pharma, I'm using to listen, really listening to our patient. As a pharmacist too, from my experience, we don't have enough time to pay attention for all the symptoms of our patient. And I think we should start from here, because we don't have just a pathology. We have a person, and we should listen to them, and we should understand what they are living in their daily life with this pathology. It's not just like, for example, we talk about like cancers, we talk about endometriosis, we talk about lots of disease, but behind this disease and this pathology, there is a person, and we should to take in charge the patient differently.
So I'm gonna add to that. So the question was that why we need more women in research, in product development, in like educational parts for women who want to consume cannabis. The reason for that is obvious. Like we are going toward a market that's just in 2023, younger women outperform young men in cannabis consumption. And 43, yes, we are like running the show. And 43% of the retail purchases are made by women. So that's exactly why we need brands to be to educate women. I had a conversation with a company that the question was, but you know what is the business case for education? Okay, I'm just gonna tell you what is the business case for not having the education. To end it up in some crisis like opioid crisis, but with other names. You need to have like targeted products for women. You need to educate them. And for example, like every one of you that are here, just like because women, we trust each other a lot. Talk to your like perimenopausal woman, talk to your mother, tell them, yeah, okay, if you probably start to using cannabinoids, it's gonna help you with many, many different symptoms. And that's where the like changes start. We need women actually in every level. Researchers, product development, I don't know, the people who run the sales, run the marketing, and also outside, the people who do the telling the real stories and like disseminate all of this knowledge. We are basically, we are changing the paradigm of a plant from a drug to like to the healing
holistic health tool.
Exactly. Like we have, if you look at mint, like the plant of mint, we have it. We use it in tea. We have capsule for it. We have like I want to sublingual, just well-being product. But also we have high dosage for a person who have like a stomachache. That should exactly be cannabis. Cannabis is a healing plant. It should be like used and respected and talked about as a healing plant.
I agree with that. And women, we're the keepers of health for ourselves and for our families. So if the women are educated on products, we know how to not only heal ourselves, but actually heal our families and our communities. And on the research side, like I'll just say, like I'm a mom of 9. So I'm all about solutions. You know what I'm saying? Like I only want to hear the problem like twice before I'm like, what is the solution? So for us, for our research study that we're doing right now is on a quantitative analysis of the biomarkers that determine clinical endocannabinoid system deficiency. What that means is we're all deficient in endogenous cannabinoids, as we said here. We don't produce enough, so we need to supplement. Unfortunately, there are no tests that say how many endogenous cannabinoids are in our body right now. How many endogenous cannabinoids do we need to supplement, to induce homeostasis or balance? So then how do we even know how to supplement? In my opinion, this industry's been going since 1996 and nobody thought to answer that question. Like that's a problem. And I think for me, maybe I'm a little biased, but that's a question that, a mom is going to answer because, okay, you are having all of these problems. You keep coming to me with all of these problems. I don't want to hear about the problem anymore. Let's figure out how we find a solution so I can give solutions to you all and maybe I can get some rest. But that's just, from a mother perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think like often us as women, we put ourselves last in all these things and also like do things like periods or perimenopause. You just get it, nobody tells you anything about it. So how can we just like get this discussion better? And until we are at a point where there are more medicines available. How can people use cannabis responsibly, especially women in their healthcare routines, until we have these products?
She had the perfect answer, microdosing. Go low and go slow. Find the product, the dose, and the method of administration that works for you. It's a very personalized experience. Sans the research right now, do the research on your own. Figure out what is the desired outcome. What are you looking to achieve? And then study. There's a lot of information out there about phytocannabinoids, which part of the system it works on, terpenes, which part of the system it works on. Find that product that has that profile. Throw out strain names, throw out all of that. None of that matters. The indica sativa conversation, none of that matters. It's genetic profiles. Look at the actual contents. Think about what those things can do for you and find your solution, but go low and slow.
And what are other things that we can do besides big clinical trials? And what role does the experience we have already today, how can we make this visible more through research?
I will talk about one important point, because today we are seeing we have many side effects of using medical cannabis. And the first problem is the higher doses. And when we talk about higher doses, we talk about the availability. So, in Citana Pharma, we're working on the bioavailability, and we want to ameliorate this to get less, to get less doses. So the aim behind today we are seeing like we got maybe 2,000 milligrams per day for some pathology, but the reason behind that we don't have the right bioavailability. When we will get this right bioavailability, we will get less doses, and it will change everything because we don't need so much. And this is one of the points of the aim point that we are working in at Citana Pharma. Maybe the second, another part from my next one part of my question.
What do you think can be done, like to further the research and with the evidence that is there, like the experience that you maybe already have collected with your patient? How can we use this today already?
Yes. So today we have lots of experience when we ask women about their needs, what kind of products it works best for them, what we can change, what we can ameliorate. And since this point, we are working on something personalized, because when we talk about medical cannabis, just let me tell you something, you cannot use cannabis just for pain or just because we have inflammation. We will get a global effect. We will get an effect on the serotonin system, the dopamine system, immunity system, everything in our body. So we cannot get just one simple effect, and this is changing everything. And we need to personalize this this treatment for everyone. So for me, for example, medical cannabis, it will never be standardized products, the products for everyone. So we should find the right doses and the right or use, for example, pharmacology use. Yes. So this is the point for what we should to do in the next steps. And the third point is so important, the education. We should to educate our professional to the endocannabinoid system, something that we missed in our courses, and also the consumer, how they should to consume rightly the cannabis or medical cannabis.
Like another thing that you can do, like of course you have all of these like beautiful surveys and citizen science, that you have to like acknowledge them, because like a lot of time the randomized controlled trials that we have, the the inclusion criteria, the people that are in that clinical trial, they are really not representative. So we really handpick them again to have the effect that we expect. But what we can all do as a woman when you go to your gynecologist, and that's a problem in Germany. I mean, I think in all of the like different discipline of medication, gynecologists are among the doctors that know the least about the endocannabinoid cannabis. Just ask them, what about cannabis? What about the endocannabinoid system? If one patient asks, they can ignore. If two patients ask, they can ignore. If 10 patients, 10 women just ask them, they cannot ignore. And that is something that they make them interesting to understand it, to put a little bit time to bring cannabis as a tool to the toolbox. I have a friend, she's a good friend of me, and she lives in Berlin. We had a talk a couple of months ago. She went to her gynecologist about the severe hot flashes that she had. And then her gynecologist just told her, oh, you are being here very sentimental. Go and thank God that you don't have breast cancer. It's normal to have hot flashes during your perimenopause. No, it's not. No severe pain, no severe symptom is normal. And that is the language that's on us, on women, to take it out from our conversation with our doctors and health leaders. That's a big part that we can play, and that's our role, I think.
That's a really good point, Dr. Chabran. Really good point. Because consumer demand drives markets. So it's on you. Whatever it is that you want and whatever it is that you demand is what's going to drive the products and the market that's developed.
Like now in Germany, according to official Begleiterhebung, 51% of prescribed cannabis medication are women. Like 51%, we are already having more prescription than men. And then we have the right, it's our right to ask for right product for us and more research.
All right, we're almost through with our panel. Let's move over to the last block. I have one last question for all of you. What can be done so we can truly embrace women's health research, and what would need to happen that we can put women's health to the front? And what would be for you a sign that we've really managed to achieve that?
I think the one thing that we can do is educate ourselves. We have to educate ourselves because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how professional we are and how much information we can give. The face of the cannabis industry is always going to be the cannabis consumer. It's always going to be all of you. We don't have a loud enough voice. We don't have a loud enough presence. The cannabis consumer is what's seen everywhere. So if you educate yourselves and elevate the conversation, drive the consumer demand based on that education, I think that we can start to see a trend where better products are being developed, more information is being given. And I think the sign of seeing that is when we see health equity raise across populations. Because at this point, the endogenous cannabinoid system has the ability to induce homeostasis or balance, bring on a true health and wellness. And I'll know that that's a thing, when we see the proverbial, healing of the nations.
What would you say to that, Chloe?
For me, I will go to the endocannabinoid system as a professional. So you cannot go, I will say enough. Today we are doing a lot of mistakes because we are ignoring the presence of this system. And this thing it should to change. Humans, we need to know that this system is a masterpiece, our body. Like, it's not an organ, you don't see it, but it's, we are talking about vitality. So this is the first point that it should to change today in our industry, in our healthcare system. And the second point, as women, we should to listen more, and we should to say stop in the right time, because when we will take it easier and we will say, like, for example, for sleep disorders, when I ask why you are doing it now, they're saying like, just because it's not so necessary, like it's luxury to sleep well, but it's not. It's really. Jacqueline?
So I think what we can do is that, again, we brought up, I never had any education about menstrual cycle or perimenopause or menopause from my mom, and she hadn't had for her mom. So when I asked my mom, that's when you really felt your first sign of menopause, she was looking at me, oh, actually I was busy raising 2 kids and I had a job, so I really never understood when it came and when it gone. So, that's the problem. We think everything is normal. And in the last panel, it was a very nice topic that women show up at work while we are in pain. We show up at work with 4 or 5 layers because we are embarrassed if we have like hot flashes. These are the points they are not points of embarrassment. They are the points of that we should talk about it loud. And that unless you talk about this stuff proudly, that many women still think when you tell them, okay, you may be in perimenopause years or menopause, they take it as an insult. Oh, I'm not that old. It's nothing to do with being old or being young. You can have early perimenopause symptoms beginning of 30 years. So these are the stuff that we should know and we should tell loud and proud. You go to your work, you have back pain, you have your pain period, just said you're still showing up, but you're telling that, okay, today, like I do it all day. Today I'm a little moody, I'm on my period. Today I have this problem. That we have to talk about not to normalize and not to like reduce the severity of our pain. That's something that's like help us collectively, us, our families, our partner, everyone.
Those are great last words. So if anybody has questions, please approach us after the panel because we are just like right in time to stop and to first for the next panel. But round of applause, thank you all for being here and attending our panel on next level female health. And thanks to the speakers.